Well, this is very interesting because we're kind of exploring the Jack Reacher character in more depth, and I know that was your intention from the beginning, know more about him, what made him tick. The first one was establishing him. This is where we dive into Jack Reacher, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a bit more.
I'm very interested in someone who aspires to be self-contained, who wants to cut himself off from society, because, look, it's not just that we're all connected by these devices, but it's very hard to emotionally to actually accomplish that. In fact, I suggest it may be impossible. And when you put someone in a circumstance with someone who may or may not be his daughter, and with a woman who in fact understands his life and is now living the life that he once lived, that becomes, I think, a dramatic situation that was worth talking about.
Yeah, and it worked very well because, you kind of follow through with him with quite enthusiasm. Do you think it takes a leading man like Tom Cruise to kind of engage the audience in characters like these?
Well, this is particularly difficult, I think, because it's very internal. He has a stillness about him in this movie, which I'm charmed by, but it all has to be going on internally, and not every actor can do that.
Did you describe this as a samurai feminist film? Is it true, and why?
I never thought of it. I did say like an American Ronin, but samurai feminist is very good. I think I might steal that one from you.
Well, it is in a way, because technically girls are power, although it's a Tom Cruise film. This is a movie about how women in the military need to stay there, correct?
Yeah, it is. And coincidentally, this coincided with the moment that the first two women matriculated from the Ranger School, and to be really at a level of parity with the men. And in America right now, talking about gender is a rather current topic, and to show a society that's struggling with it was an opportune moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Are these films as stunt-based as they show on screen? Basically, Tom Cruise always wants to do his own stunts. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of people moving around all the time. So is it all real?
Oh yeah, there's no CG. It's not. No stunt people are doing it. The truth is that Tom and
even
Kobe,
the women.
Oh yeah. Tom and Kobe. Kobe in particular spent really almost 3 months preparing herself to do this, and worked with a stunt team, strength, stretching, conditioning, nutrition, in order to be able to do it, not just once, but again and again for days. And they'd often get pretty bruised and banged up, and I would see the bruises the next day, but they'd never stop.
Yeah, exactly. Full dedication.
Yeah.
How easy or difficult is it to film in a place like New Orleans that is so buoyant and full of people all the time, knowing that for movies you kind of have to empty them and refill them?
Well, we wanted a place that had a sense of place, and not just a generic place. We did the main big action scenes between about 1 in the morning and dawn in the winter, so there were always people carousing on the streets of New Orleans at every hour, but fewer then. So we were able to manage to control the streets.
And for you, what remains the biggest sense of enthusiasm when you're directing films like this? What's the most exciting bit?
When something exceeds your imagination, when an actor does something that seemed to just sit there on the page and they've given it life, that's always thrilling.
You've worked with Tom Cruise before. What would you say is the secret of an enduring success in Hollywood? Because there is success for a lot of people, but endurance is difficult.
I would say the fact that he has some kind of instinctive sense of story and character that goes far beyond just being a good actor or looking a certain way. He knows what makes a story work and how he can be in the center of it.
Can you describe the experience of attending premieres with Tom Cruise? Because he always insists on signing every single autograph for every single person.
It's remarkable. It's very old school, and we're going to be in Leicester Square tonight, and I've done it with him, and I've done it with a lot of other people too. There's 2 things that I remember. One is the fact that no matter what the weather is, he's out there till the very end.
It was -10 at Last Samurai. I still remember the show.
That's right. But another part that I remember is a sound. And it's the sound of generally, I think it's of high-pitched women's voices when he gets out of the car. And I couldn't help but think that maybe the same sound that somebody heard in 1963 when the Beatles were there.
That's just very true.
Yeah.
And Kobe Smulders is having a wonderful path in Hollywood at the moment. She's quite special and quite unique herself. Can you tell us more about her?
Well, I mean, she was a star of this television show for 9 years.
Exactly, which everybody loves.
And yet she's really devoted herself to doing some interesting independent roles. She seems to have it all. She has a great husband who's very successful in his own right. She's got 2 fantastic children, and yet does it all with grace and charm.
And finally, what's next for you after this big whole of a film?
Something, I hope. I don't know. I'm not very good at planning it. I'll find it, I hope.
Serendipity will bring the next
There
film
you go.
to you.
Yeah.